On a warm summer's eve, on a train bound for nowhere, I met up with a gambler. We were both too tired to sleep, so we took turns of staring out the window at the darkness till boredom overtook us, and we began to speak. He said, "Son, I've made a life out of reading people's faces, knowing what their cards were by the way they held their eyes. So if you don't mind me saying, I can see you're out of aces. For a taste of your whiskey, I'll give you some advice." So I handed him my bottle, and he drank down my last swallow. Then he bummed a cigarette and asked me for a light, and the night got deathly quiet, and his face lost all expression. Said, "If you're gonna play the game, boy, you gotta learn to play it right. You got to know when to hold 'em, know when to fold 'em, know when to walk away, know when to run. You never count your money. When you're sitting at the table, there'll be time enough for counting when the dealing's done." Every gambler knows that the secret to surviving is knowing what to throw away and knowing what to keep. 'Cause every hand's a winner and every hand's a loser, and the best that you can hope for is to die in your sleep. So when he finished speaking, he turned back towards the window, crushed out his cigarette, and faded off to sleep. And then somewhere in the darkness, the gambler, he broke even. And in his final words, I found an ace that I can keep. You've got to know when to hold 'em, know when to fold 'em, know when to walk away, and know when to run. You never count your money. When you're sitting at the table, there'll be time enough for counting when the dealing's done. Kenny Rogers, legendary country singer, dies at 81. Just starting to get the show set up here this morning. Not a big country music fan myself, but I've been listening to Kenny Rogers my whole life. My parents had the record. I think it was the greatest hits. Songs like Lady, especially The Gambler. Of course, The Gambler I probably know from The Muppet Show. Muppet Show did a big, great version of The Gambler back when I was a kid. And, of course, Coward of the County, always a big song for me. Tom, this Coward Tom and all this stuff, and I was named Tom, and, what does he say? Something like, folks always called him Yellow, but his name was Tom, something like that. But just a great singer, and then came back to us again in a later life with a Big Lebowski soundtrack. Just dropped in to see what condition my condition was in. Another classic Kenny Rogers song. Just a singer. I don't know anything about if he was into politics or protest. I think he was. I mean, the 60s and all that, and the hippies and everything. I mean, he was Kenny Rogers. But, yeah, just a sad goodbye. Fortunately, we can sadly say I think Kenny just died of old age. I don't think it was anything to do with this horrible virus thing we got going on. But just getting set up here. Thanks, everybody, for the likes. We've got 4 likes, getting that like button positioned. I like Open Broadcaster. I think it's fun. We have a lot more options here. But I don't like arranging the windows every day. Every day I have to fix these stupid windows. But let's get started here. It's Saturday morning. Would rather be on the couch, but the TV's all bad. So let's talk about the news for a while instead. Today is Saturday, March 21st, 2020. My name is Thomas Hunt. This is the Thomas Hunt Show. Let's get started. The price of Bitcoin. Let's see. The graphic seems a little cut off. Let me see what I can do with this graphic really quick first. Whoop. Whoop. Oh, one more button. No, not right there. Alt. There's the top of the screen. All right. A little better with the top of the screen. Sorry, graphics. Here we go. Let's keep going. The price of Bitcoin is up 0.24%, hardly up, in the last 24 hours, with a last of 6,242, a high of 6,692, and a low of 5,782, all over the board today. That's $1 for 16,086 Satoshis. Now the like button's in the wrong place. See the graphics, it's just always going to be messing with the graphics. Let's keep going. The Dow Jones Industrial Average is closed. There's no action on the stock markets. Maybe they'll show us some after hours. Maybe not on this webpage. But the Dow Jones closed on Friday down 4.55%, more than 900 points to 19,173, giving back all of the gains of the Trump stock market. And just boring on the weekends. Nothing happens in the Dow. Let's keep going. Coronavirus cases worldwide, getting a refresh in there. We jumped from 260 to 290 just on this last second refresh. So that's 289,996 global cases, 11,949 deaths. Stay the fuck home. Stay the fuck home. Why should you stay home? You don't spread the disease. You don't get the disease. That's it. Like this show. Thumbs up to this show. It's free. I'm going to do it right now, even though the World Crypto Network liking its own videos is kind of silly. But if it's going to let me, more thumbs up. All right. Oh, it doesn't load very well when we get live, but I was checking out the Fed game earlier. It looked like we'd printed around $400 trillion. It's getting pretty cool. I'm trying to stall to see if it'll load, but no, too much excitement for the Fed game. Let's see. I might have killed my whole web browser. That's exciting. Too much graphics. Checking out the spread of coronavirus if we stay home. Everyone should be working on the open source ventilator. And on that same kind of subject, we were talking on Twitter today. And, I certainly don't know everything. I'm happy to learn things. And as I responded to Balaji, because he's all about the masks, and I said, I'm not sure how you expect U.S. people to buy masks. They were sold out and gouging weeks ago. You can't wear what you don't have. And Larry Celebra in Hong Kong says, make your own masks if you can't buy them. If you can't make your own, use a scarf or some piece of cloth. And I asked him seriously, because sometimes I ask questions and I want to know the answer. Is cotton good? Are these masks good enough? I thought we needed N95 or N99. And Larry linked me to a report. It's a journal entry. It's an article. And it basically says professional and homemade masks reduce exposure to respiratory infections among the general population. And basically they did a study that even homemade masks such as cotton with 2 loops on it can be effective in stopping the spread of disease. So at this point, I think we should all make our masks at home. Larry's got, I think he's got a website here where you can learn how to make a mask, learn how to do the pattern or whatever. I don't know how complex it is. It seems like it has 2 loops. But you should make some masks so in case you do have to go outside, you can at least wear a mask. I think one of the main things about the masks that would make it better than a scarf, just intellectually thinking about this, every time you wear the mask outside, you pretty much have to dispose of the mask. The whole point of the mask is that it stops stuff, not that it stops stuff forever, right? That's too much. It can't stop things forever. So because of that, I think you need multiple masks or multiple scarves. So having them cut up like this presumably would be better because you can dispose of them. Just my theory. We'll see. Checking out the other top stories today. Oh, there it is. There's a Fed. Oh, no. It's weighing down my whole browser. I think it's especially mad that we're in full screen mode. It's like, I just cannot. Like, you want to run the Fed and be in full screen? Come on, Satoshi Nakamoto. Who are you kidding? So let's see here. Children's games. Ones, thousands, millions, billions, trillions. I don't know what's above trillions, but we are at 23 above trillions in the Federal Reserve game. I left it running overnight. I'm going to go ahead and print some more money because that's my responsible job here, working for the Federal Reserve. We already bought a lot of tech companies, and we invaded Iran several times. We bought some commercial banks. We're doing what we can to make sure that this number goes up. But there it is, 23 above trillion, 23,000 trillions or something. So, bam, we are printing. Make your own ventilator. That's a good idea. Okay, so getting down to brass tacks here. Coronavirus cases in the United States. I'm going to push refresh. I'll go full screen first just because, looks nicer. Oh, 16 up to 22. Last time I checked, it was at 19,000. 22,708 coronavirus cases in the United States, a country that does not have widespread testing. We know these numbers are low. That's 279 deaths. Looking at this on the chart, you can see we're going straight up like an S-curve. And more importantly and more horrifyingly, if we track back 2 days, let's see, today is March the 21st. So if we go back, I guess it's 3 days now. March the 18th, 3 days ago, we had 9,000 cases. Now we have more than 20. So 3 days, it's doubling every 2 to 3 days in the United States. If we extrapolate just a little bit from this, and I'll do the 3 days. I had 2 days on my Twitter. We'll be a little more optimistic here for you guys. So in 3 days, it doubles, 40,000. In 3 days, that's 6 days, it's doubled again, 40,000, 80,000. In 9 days, then we break 100,000, and it's 160,000 cases. We would also assume the doubling of the deaths number. Let's round up to 300. 600 in one double, 1,200 in another double, and 2,400, 3 doubles up. So if we keep doubling in a week, we'll be above 100,000 and we'll be above 2,000 deaths. So stay home. Stay the fuck home. This is our enemy. People in my email are telling me it's not so bad. People in my Twitter and my Telegram and chat, my friends, are telling me it's not so bad. So I hope it's not so bad. Let's not be doom and gloom. They say that, if you look at the mortality rates, losing 10% of the elderly population is not the same as losing 100%. Maybe 100% of them get sick, so it's bad for them, but only 10% would die, theoretically, or 20% or 5%, depending on the averages. Then, as well as for lower numbers, I mean, maybe we're going to get it. Maybe it won't be that bad. Maybe they won't have to put us on a ventilator and shove a tube down our throat, which we don't want. But we do want the water out of our lungs that would allow us to keep living. So let's see what's happening in the last 24 hours since we last hung out. Hey, we did the Bitcoin group. Awesome. I love the Bitcoin group. Sadly, I didn't write it, so I improvised it, so it's not the best questions and stuff. But I think we had a great conversation. Josh from Voltoro joined us. Juan Galt came in at the end, and we had Florian, who's a consultant at, Midas Touch, and a friend of Josh's, and he did a great job. And we had a really good discussion. We talked about all the different things, the economic aspects, the political aspects, the Bitcoin aspects, of course. Someone called us a socialist in the comments. So it was a great show. I think you'll like it. So check that out. Publis writes, raise your hand if you were certain that Donald Trump's presidency would end in disaster and engulfed in flames the moment you woke up on November 9th, 2016. Yes, hand in the air. Not happy about it, though. Hand in the air. Gallifrin Jedi writes, all this hand-wringing about Medicare all costing $30 trillion over the next 10 years, and now they're spending that much to float Wall Street for a month. Just like that. And it says, breaking news, the Federal Reserve will now conduct $1 trillion in daily repo operations for the rest of the month. So he's right, yes, $1 trillion in daily repos. But I think they get those back. I think those are loans. I don't know for sure. I think those are loans. But I agree, it's a lot of money. Emergency loans, like I said, to help money market funds. Its latest effort to shore up the financial system. And you have to love how responsive they are on Wall Street. The rest of us are kind of freaking out, not going to really be able to make any money anymore, have to stay home all the time, bought a lot of extra food that presumably is going to come in handy this time. And it's okay. They're bailing out the stocks and the money market funds because we have to make sure those things can eat. We have another one of these case chart graphs showing the various countries. Let's see if we can zoom in. No, maybe we can't. 300%, but only Twitter gets bigger. So here we go. Let's zoom in country by country. Let's see what's been happening. We're starting to see some new countries down here on the edge. India popping up, Portugal, Malaysia, Australia, Norway, Netherlands. But back here we have our leaders of the pack right here. The United States, Spain, Germany even, France, all the favorites. But you see the United States has this jagged, straight up line. We are growing faster than anyone else here. Maybe Italy at this point, but you can see the angle. Italy's line is more down to the right. Our line is more straight up. It's bad. It's not good. We look at China. China never grew as bad as the U.S. is growing, really, except maybe back here in the early points when they weren't doing anything. So hopefully all this social distancing and staying home is going to help. And remember, these are also only the tested results. We don't really have great testing in the United States. We have inadequate, meager testing. We don't really know what's going on yet. Let's see the chat. Down a little bit, up a little bit. Every day with the graphics. Every day, fix the graphics. Let's see, keep going. Hey, it's our goal. 161 Bitcoins. That's $1 million. I wonder if someday it'll be like 1 Bitcoin's $1 million. And then maybe we'll get it. But right now, if you'd like to donate to support the show with Bitcoins or Lightning Network, you can donate now. Make the QR code bigger even. And that's what you want to do, $5-10, especially donating while the price of Bitcoin's down. I know some people got all upset about this. They donated, 5 years ago, $10, and now they're mad that it's worth more. And in the same way, though, I would be happy. I mean, if the person managed to hold it, which is very difficult. But I hope to hold these and hold until they're $1 million. So that's the plan. But anyway, back to the news. See what else is going on. Twitter got way too big. Okay, so we looked at the chart of country by country. And meanwhile, U.S. intelligence reports from January and February warned about a likely pandemic. So one of the frustrating things about this, and I suppose it aggravates me specifically because I'm a politics person and because I was watching this on Twitter with everybody else. I knew what was going on in China. I was worried about Hong Kong. I mean, these were all happening, not in a vacuum. I didn't freak out and sell my stocks. I should have, obviously, et cetera, et cetera. I should have sold Bitcoin even, at least now, but I don't know in the future. But no, they ignored these warnings. They downplayed them. They downplayed them publicly. They sold their own stock. This is all going to come to bear. Yes, right now we have bigger problems, but still, what could they do? How could they do this? Let's see. They say platinum coins have been minted. That's strange. I don't know anything about the platinum. And South Korea tests like crazy. It must be huge. I don't know. South Korea is testing at work, though. I mean, they're basically saying like that small town in Italy. They tested everyone, and then they figured out who was sick, and they separated them. Even the people that were sick but not really sick, they were fine, or they had light conditions. Still, you separate them. They don't spread it. Separated, didn't spread. The thing went away. But you have to have testing. We just don't have any testing. So this was a pretty scary thing from Robert O. Paxton, author of Anatomy of Fascism. In a fascist cult of leadership, the followers believe in the superiority of the leader's instincts over abstract and universal reason. And we have here a quote from Laura Ingraham on Fox News. Donald Trump, as usual, has sharp instincts. He sees things that sometimes the intellectuals and the academics that might get lost in some of the details. So again, this kind of worship of the leader, the hero worship. I just watched, I think it's a great movie, The Interview with Seth Rogen and James Franco over the weekend again. And it's great the way they talk and expose and explain Kim Jong-un and Kim Jong-il, that they have no butthole. They do not poop or fart or pee. He can shoot holes in ones in golf. He's slam dunked, even though he's 5'10". All of these things. The leader walks on air. The leader is not a human being like you. The leader is this mystical, floating, divine right. The godlike powers of the leader. And the leader can never be questioned. So if you see this kind of thing happening, it's not good. It's not what you want. So sadly, Kenny Rogers passed away. Again, another one of these deaths. I was notified by Twitter. I was reading Twitter and Theo started posting Kenny Rogers links. And at first I was wondering why, but then I saw 2 or 3 of them and it had an RIP on it. So sad to see that. Sad to see. But it looks like we got some action in the chat. Very cool. Glad to see everyone's in the chat this morning. Be sure to give us a thumbs up and a share so we can get more people in the chat, maybe more people on the phone lines, and have a good chat today. Speaking of successfully controlling the virus, Singapore so far appears not to have had a single recorded healthcare-related transmission of the coronavirus, despite the hundreds of cases that its medical system has had to deal with. So they have enough masks there for their healthcare professionals. They have enough gloves. They're wearing them, and the disease is not spreading in the hospital in Singapore. So success, in a small area, but we'll take what we can get at this point, right? There's not a lot of successes. And here's a fun part of the show. I'm going to get excited. This is good. Oh, we got some DGB guys. Welcome to DGB in the chat. I love it when a coin spams. It really shows you not to buy it and that it's a pump and dump and it's incoming. I hope that people short you out. Sorry. Also, we had some great Prism spammers lately. They dropped like 180 comments on one video. And I was like, do you think these comments are all fake? Well, I think these comments are all fake. I don't know. I don't think it's very effective, but maybe there's stupid people out there who are like, oh, I read some spam comment once and then I bought this coin and my penis got larger. It was awesome. So EasyJet, death to EasyJet. EasyJet will go ahead with a £174 million payout to shareholders despite appealing for taxpayer support. It's paying some guy named Sir Stelios, I suppose he's a knight, £60 million. Burn it the fuck down, says Ben Hunt. Must be related. It's not just an American thing. So again, the company here is going to pay £174 million to its shareholders. Then it's going to turn around and ask the British taxpayers, so not really my problem, but it's going to ask the British taxpayers for money. Ha, 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 ha. I remember when I flew on EasyJet and they charged me $150 to store my bag when there was plenty of space on the airplane for my bag, or it easily could have gone under my seat or over my seat. $150, EasyJet, more than the cost of the flight. How do you like it now? How do you like it now? So there we go. One good thing about the airplanes all going down is we all get victory over our baggage fees and our late charges and being on hold and all the other things the airplanes did to us over the years. So, okay, so this one, it's too sad to read, but people were giving me that crap that they didn't know anyone that had it or it was all a psyop or whatever yesterday. So here's Julia at Julia Buscalia. She says she's a 20-year-old who's tested positive for COVID. She wasn't going to share her story, but now she sees that other people are reporting different symptoms. She's time to tell her experience. She woke up in agony, head pounding, ears throbbing, body aching, fever 102, took inflammatory, stayed in bed. She was in Italy, I guess, so doctor said she had a cold, went back home. Hearing in her ears started to grow, phlegm in her throat. Italy was becoming a place of return, of home. So she was in Italy, so she got it over there. And then I guess she comes back to the U.S. She lost all of her hearing, taste and smell, runny nose and cough, taking Tylenol. So just super scary. The other symptoms I've heard is that it's like having someone stand on your chest and that everyone has a very large fever. So I don't know. My friends in the chats and things say it's no big deal and we'll all be fine. But so still super scary virus. I'm staying inside. You should stay inside too. Shout out to @JWZ, good cool guy, classic interneter. He says the new version of X screensaver hacks the planet. It greets to Crash Override, the Phantom Freak, and also Joey. It's a great looking screensaver. It looks like Hackers the movie. I wish I could get it. He says Apple seems to be lagging. They don't have the new version of X screensaver yet, but I can't wait to get that. Flying through cyberspace, Hackers screensaver. Looks cool. Just as there are no atheists in a sinking ship, there are no free marketeers in a panic. In a pandemic, as fearful Britain shuts down, the coronavirus has transformed everything. So once again, we're seeing major societal change. A medical worker describes terrifying lung failure from COVID-19. It first struck me how different it was when I saw my first coronavirus patient go bad. I was like, holy shit, this is not the flu. Watching this relatively young guy grasping for air, pinky, frothy secretions coming out of his tube. All right, so that's, fucking terrifying. Balaji, the man who's been right on this and keeps being right, says the pre-virus era will be seen as a different time. And I think this way about 9/11. We were talking about 9/11 the other day, and people were saying how easy it was to go to airplanes. And I remember, I think they had metal detectors. I think they checked the bags. But after that, you'd walk up to the desk, and the flight attendant or the desk person would just ask you, they'd say, have you come in contact with anyone? Did you pack your own bag? Did anyone else touch your bag or pack your bag today? And it was just are you carrying any firearms, sir? And it was just all these, you answer the questions at the desk. That was it. Get on the plane. Everything was fine. I remember you could bring practically anything you want. I think one time I was trying to drink to be less afraid of flying. So I'd brought in a pre-mixed Jack Daniel's soda bottle. I think it was a 2-liter. You could just bring it on the plane. No one cared. People would bring whole sandwich picnics on to Southwest, practically with the picnic basket too. The whole thing. It was just a lighter, simpler time. You could smoke on airplanes. Not quite in my time. But the ashtrays were there. When I was a little kid, I got to fly a couple of times, and the ashtrays were there. And you're always like, what are these for? These part of the airplane? And then eventually they went away. But if you're ever flying on a plane that has ashtrays, you know it's an old one. The case for Endgame C. Stop everything, restart when coronavirus goes away. Here's someone else that's thinking like I'm thinking about end games. So let's just quickly diagnose what he says the various end games options are and why he says C is going to be the one. Endgame A, flatten the curve. Okay, so I can see how this isn't working. We don't want to shut everything. No one wants to stay home. We've probably waited too long to do this as well. So I could see how flattening the curve isn't going to work well. Endgame B, track and trace. This is the smash the curve idea. This worked really well in South Korea. This worked eventually in China when they started doing this. I think this is how Singapore kept it under control, other countries, mainly South Korea. If you had enough tests, which we don't have enough tests, if you had enough tests, you could test everyone. You could isolate the sick and the asymptomatic sick, the sick who aren't really sick but are spreading it, the carriers. So you could isolate the carriers. That would be a good plan if we had enough tests. And we're kind of too big. So he gives us Endgame C, which he describes as stop, then restart. Minimizing activity and interaction, sealing the border to passenger traffic, including citizens, although not trade, until infections are driven down to zero. That's going to be a long time. Police should enforce the lockdown. All confirmed cases should be housed in government-controlled facilities. This might seem unimaginable, but is exactly what happened in China, South Korea, and Italy. Once infections are at zero, stay there for a fortnight or so to ensure there are no asymptomatic cases. Economic and social activity can restart, so on and so forth. So this is Endgame C, stop and then restart. That's what he thinks will work. And this Coinsure, the guy that recommended this article, is very clever. So I think we should listen to this. As I said earlier, we're doubling every 2 to 3 days in the United States. This is not good. This is not sustainable. Too many people will have it. As Balaji says, again, the measures to be taken when the plague appeared in town. And a classic tweet here from Alice Maz. She says, one reason I'm so big on studying history is it reminds you that almost nothing is truly novel, which makes that, which actually is all the more important. She writes like Yoda. But here it is right here. It's a classic book. It looks like she's talking about panopticanism. And first, a spatial partitioning, the closing of the town and its outlying districts, a prohibition to leave the town on pain of death, the killing of all stray animals, the division of the town into strict quarters, each governed by an intendant, so on and so forth. And discipline, the surveillance is forced on a system of permanent registration reports. This enclosed, segmented space observed at every point. So it looks like mainly she's describing the negative aspects of trying to control this thing. Probably more on the fear-based side. So, good old Elizabeth Warren, remember her? She wanted members of Congress to not own individual stocks. She tried to pass a bill like this in the Senate. Of course, it went nowhere because the Senate wasn't willing to give up their right to insider trade and be disgusting non-Americans, traitors. But remember, Elizabeth Warren was right. Again. Chelsea Handler, comedian, writes, imagine being incarcerated for a marijuana-related offense and then seeing it deemed an essential business. Marijuana dispensaries are being deemed essential business and are allowed to stay open under California's safer-at-home order. I think the same thing in Nevada. They're getting into that the drugstores and the pharmacies, that the marijuana dispensaries are a place where people get medicine, so they have to stay open. This is a major shift. This was an illegal drug, a gateway drug, a evil thing, and now it's declaring absolutely essential. So let these people out of jail. It's been too long. It's been too much. It's ridiculous. Get rid of all these ridiculous laws and prohibition. Full legalization, full decriminalization, everything, the whole thing. Andy Biotech writes, COVID situations in Singapore, Hong Kong, and Taiwan. All these Asian regions that had the coronavirus under control are now getting hit by the second wave, mainly due to imported cases from the U.S. and Europe. It's crazy how quickly the tide turns in such a globalized world. So we are starting to see the second wave as the Europeans now go back over and infect the Asians who originally infected the Europeans. So it keeps going. Justin Wolfer says, no country has ever been this far into the pandemic and still had the number of cases growing at the rates the U.S. is seeing. So that's not good. We're going to be so tired of winning. You're going to be so tired of winning. I found some cool pictures on my phone. I have lots of cool pictures. And I was thinking about doing a Best of the British Museum series. The joke being that everything at the British Museum is the best, and I love the British Museum. So I just want to share with you guys this snake statue. I'm pretty sure it's from Mexico. It's in the Mexico region of the museum anyway. And what's specifically unique about this statue is that they did the bottom of the statue as well. So you can see this is inside the base, and this is an actual picture of the bottom of the statue. See, they did the scales of the snake on the bottom as well. And, of course, the British Museum, being the best museum in the world, has this statue displayed up on a wooden thing with a light and a mirror so that you can enjoy the underside of this incredibly detailed and amazing statue. Maybe it's a snake deity. Maybe that's why I would spend so much time on such incredible detail that may never be seen, except for thanks to the British Museum. Pretty cool. There's another video of Trump talking about all the different times that it was nothing and it's no big deal. And this is the kind of thing that will lead to punishment later. People will not give this up forever. People will remember the Nuremberg trials happened, not immediately, not during the war, but after the war. People will remember. Shout out again to Larry and his homemade face masks. Everyone should be following these instructions, wearing some face masks, especially if you have to go outside. Sure, staying in is good, but going outside with a mask is better. Let's see what's going on. The money printer, still going pretty good. But at the same time, I don't know what you guys expect them to do. And yes, with Bitcoin, we wouldn't be able to money print. We'd have to rely on charity, I guess, and I haven't seen too much of that. I've seen more things like congressmen selling millions of dollars of stock when they're told about it. It doesn't make me feel good about humanity. So, global cases, John Hopkins looking at it on a map. Siberia looks nice. Mostly okay out there. Antarctica, still good. Oh, Greenland. Not so much. Alaska, mostly good. I don't know. Let's see. Crypto hedge fund goes belly up after Bitcoin's price dropped to 3,800. Oh, they should have waited a week. Bitcoin clings to 6K amid warning 90% recovery may trigger dip. So it goes up and it goes down. The PUL multiple is turning bullish on Bitcoin. That's great. I don't know what that is. Neither does anyone else. Blow to Bitcoin as Russia moves to effectively ban crypto. This is 17 minutes ago. Oh, I need that breaking news graphic. We were talking yesterday how I needed a breaking news graphic, but I still don't have one. Anyway, let's see what's going on. Forbes. Ad blocker. I need an ad blocker. Anyway, Russia's banned crypto, but Forbes doesn't want you to know about it because they got an ad blocker. People want to buy Bitcoin and not sell. Internet data shows. And then back to the articles we talked about yesterday. It's Saturday. This is a call-in show. If you guys like to, you could call in right now. Let's get the phone number out in the chat. I was going to try to get Telegram or WhatsApp going, but I haven't yet. And I'm not sure if I can do that or if I need another phone number or something like that. So you can call us now at 1-518-600-1949. or on Skype at World Crypto Network, all one word. I'm just doing a quick update show this morning. If you guys want to talk and hang out, we'll try to hang out. Otherwise, we might just recap the news one more time and finish off. Let's see what's going on in the chat. We Smoke Bitcoin says, all this fear porn, somebody's making money. And that's very true. Somebody's definitely making money somewhere. We saw yesterday with the senators, Senate lady, who sold their stocks. The best thing about Kelly Loeffler, the senator who sold her stocks, it's not just that she sold, she also tried to strategically buy video conferencing companies. Ooh, it's despicable. It's a real special kind of person. And again, she could have just shorted. These people aren't very good at the markets. They could have just shorted the airlines and the casinos. I mean, who cares? I mean, you've got insider information. You're going to use it. Why not make even more money? And the other great thing about her, she sold, they're up in it now. They say that she sold $3 million in stock, is that her husband has $500 million. She doesn't need $3 million. $3 million to her is a rounding error. She could have just hung in there and been a senator. She could have warned the American people. She could have done something. She could have made face masks. These people could have done anything positive as opposed to what they did do. And instead, they did nothing and tried to protect themselves. It's the whole point of public service. They kind of missed it. The all-time of humanity was 13,000 years ago. Oh, come on. That was before Bob Dylan. How could we be so great before Bob Dylan, or even today? Let's celebrate Kenny. Come on, man. Obviously, the all-time high of humanity was 40 years ago when Kenny Rogers was rocking out with just walked in to see what position my position was in, or Lucille, man, don't bring your love to town. Lucille, I'm not going to do it, but don't bring your love to town. It's a big story, and he's telling the story. He's got kids at home. Oh, it's great stuff. Oh, we witnessed the all-time high of humanity. Okay, so when I was a kid and I studied the Roman Empire, they always talked about whether it was ascending or declining. So this got stuck in my head, and I always wondered if we were on the ascent of our civilization or if we were on the decline. And I grew up in the 80s, and Ronald Reagan was on TV, and we were fighting a war with the Soviets, and we could be annihilated by nuclear weapons at any time. I even seem to recall, although it might be apocryphal, that we had a duck and cover drill in the first grade. Must have been around 82, 83, and maybe 84. And even at the time, as a first grader, a very young kid, I was like, this stupid cardboard desk isn't going to do anything against a nuclear weapon. Like, why don't I just sit comfortably and get vaporized here in my chair? So there's always been a global threat. There's always been a world threat on us. And are we declining? It was tough to say we were declining when we were building the internet, when computers kept getting better and better, when networks went from horrible coax to amazing Ethernet to fantastic Wi-Fi and so forth. Hello, caller. You're live on the World Crypto Network. What's your name and where are you calling from?
Hey, I am Divine. I am from Zimbabwe.
All right.
And I am calling from Memphis, Tennessee. And the reason why I'm calling you is because I need you to help me to find out developers out there in the future who could improve money transfer systems to Zimbabwe, especially with the catastrophic situation that happened there. I know it's a mixed topic, but I feel the problems of moving money right now with this virus thing, and they can't transact, they can't do anything, and I feel that using crypto could really help the country. That's where I was born, and
what's the infrastructure like in Zimbabwe? Do you guys have iPhones? Do you have feature phones? Do you have Wi-Fi? Do you have internet? What's the basics like?
Yes, they have iPhones in the main metropolitan areas. The signal is a bit spotty as you go in the rural area, but yes, there is internet.
Because I mean, the main thing you need for Bitcoin is just internet and a wallet. And then you kind of need a group of people to go around telling people about it. Maybe you need it translated into the local language, stuff like this. So I think it's mainly an information problem if you have the basics. If there's controls, a lot of people have government controls. They can't download a Bitcoin wallet. They don't want to publicly download a Bitcoin wallet. It has to be secret. So that could make it more complicated. In that case, I've heard countries like Saudi Arabia and Iran are using web wallets where you can go to a web page and just use the wallet through the web page, save your code or your seed or your link or something, and then just go back to that. Then you don't have the wallet, so it's a little safer for them. So yeah, mainly I think it would be an informational issue, and then just getting them to try it out. Have you had any success getting your friends or your family to try Bitcoin or maybe some other crypto?
They are very willing. They were actually using crypto until the government banned it. But as of last week, the government has lifted the ban, and they're inviting any crypto company to come back to Zimbabwe, start exchanges, sell Bitcoin, do whatever. But I'm not a programmer. I don't have the knowledge, but I'm an entrepreneur, and I have access to every government office. So I'm just trying to see if I can get people to help me out there to contact me and then see if they can help me develop a program that will work for them because they're ready for it. So you just have to give them a product.
Do you have a Twitter or an email somewhere where people can reach you? You could go ahead and give it out right now if you want.
Yeah, sure. I am. You can find me on Hende, HENDE, Hende Cash. That's what I call it, meaning let's move Africa forward into the new technological area. So it's called HENDE Cash, Hende.app or Hende Cash. That's my Twitter, and my number is public. It's 901-545-9000. I'm in Memphis, Tennessee at the present time.
All right. Well, I tried to type it into the chat room here, and if you want to check out the chat room on YouTube, that might be another way to try to reach some people. Twitter's really good. A lot of Bitcoin people and programmers are on Twitter, but it sounds, and I think there was, I'm not sure, I think it might have been Zimbabwe, but there was a woman called like the Bitcoin woman, and she's in Africa, and she was in Zimbabwe, and she was starting to do like a Bitcoin center or a blockchain center.
Really?
Yeah, I think it was a while ago. I'm forgetting her name right now. But let's see, Bitcoin. I mean, if you just Google Bitcoin one in Africa, again, that's not the best search. I forget her name, but yeah, she was Anastasia or something like that. But Alakani.
Wow, that's amazing that there's a Zimbabwean trying to do this because I thought I was ahead of the curve.
Well, it looks like it looks like she was from Botswana. So actually a neighbor of Zimbabwe. So, but yeah, if you look for her story, the Botswana Bitcoin lady raising Bitcoin for Africans Children's Charity. And she also tried to do kind of like people could come to her house and she'd teach lessons, or she'd have the kids teach lessons about blockchain. So like a little programming academy kind of thing. So yeah, she's been doing this for a couple of years. But I support, you doing it as well. And we just need as many people doing this, just spreading the word, spreading information, because I think this thing really can raise people up, not just the price and the trading and the whatever, but if you learn how to program this, you can get a job, you can be useful. If you learn how even just to use it, how to send the money around, you're ready for the future. So I would like more people to be ready for that.
Especially the fact that we can peg the Bitcoin on its own, because what I see is we always compare the Bitcoin to the United States dollar. I mean, the United States dollar is losing by 2% inflation every year. So I just want to have Bitcoin, nothing else. I just want to collect more Bitcoin and keep it. Because if I then liquidate it into US dollar, I'm not saying that's not safe, but I just want to be able to just use Bitcoin for buying, for doing everything, for purchasing. And I think the global market can be stable, especially going through what we are going through now. And I want to see the ability to even print Bitcoin for those people who are not able to access internet. We could use tokens that have the encryption a little bit until they get to the QR code and purchase. So these are just ideas I'm thinking that I want to add on the Hende app when it's established that it'll be faster, people can have access to quick cash. and without being limited by borders. They can just move to another country and still be able to support the economy of their country without being obligated to.
It sounds great, man. Keep working on it, and maybe give us a call in a few weeks, see what you got going. Keep working on web pages and Twitter, and just reach out to people in these communities. I think you'll find some people.
I really appreciate you so much for giving me your time. And if anyone out there, please help me out with programmers, developers, people who have the skill and the know-how to assist creating a new corridor for Zimbabwe. Zimbabwe is known for inflation, and we want to bring that down to check. And if we can succeed in Zimbabwe, the whole world will respect Bitcoin.
All right, very cool. They're also saying in the chat, you should contact Tawanda Kembo, Tawanda Kembo in Zimbabwe. So it sounds like there might be some other local people working on this, and you guys can work together and raise up the whole community. Let's do it all together, right?
Thank you, man. I appreciate that. I've been trying to get hold of that guy. Do you have his number?
I'm not sure. This guy in the chat's recommending him. I would check Twitter. A lot of Bitcoin people are on Twitter these days.
Okay. All right. That'll be wonderful. I've been trying to reach him, but I think he moved to South Africa after the regulation was made to stop Bitcoin movement in Zimbabwe. But I think now the government in Zimbabwe realized that they actually can have an economy of Bitcoin, really. And I truly believe that could be a good method for them, And I appreciate you, man. I don't want to hold you up further, but I know you got other callers coming. Thank you so much, and we'll be in touch.
Thanks so much. And really interesting stuff there, Zimbabwe and Bitcoin. So pretty cool. Check out in the chat. Bitcoin Ascent says he talks to Mr. Kembo on Skype. So maybe you can get in touch with him that way. If you'd like to call right now, you can call the World Crypto Network. We are live at 1-518-600-1949 or on Skype at World Crypto Network, all one word. Check it out. Right now, we'll try to keep the show going at least till 10 o'clock. Maybe if we could get one or two more phone calls by then, that would really help out. Checking out wear a mask. Checking out, let's see what's going on Twitter. I don't think I tweeted this show, unfortunately, but let's see. You need to wear masks because you don't know if you're sick or if everyone else is sick. They've got materials you can make your own, or you can use a scarf. Looks like there's another website here called DIY mask .site. I think it was. This is a Hong Kong mask. Official instructions and so forth, how to design the masks. You can use microfiber, kitchen paper. They have patterns here for different sizes. So it does look like there's a lot of information out there about making your own mask. So if you don't have one at home and you're looking for something to do, this would be great. If you're into sewing, maybe you already have a sewing machine. I saw an interesting Twitter fight the other day between Ugly Old Goat and some random guy. And the random guy was kind of ragging on the goat because the goat was saying stuff. And Goat came back with him with a video of him. I went to his house in Mexico after the cruise 6 months and another lifetime ago. I went to his house, and they have this really neat kind of like a sewing room in the back where they can make things. Like for the conference, they sewed some Bitcoin patches on hats. It was really neat. And they could make shirts and things like that. So he showed the guy a video of his little factory there at his house in Mexico making masks. They had big rolls of them. They were cutting them up. It seemed pretty simple. But at the end of the day, it looked like they were going to have, 100 or 1,000 masks right there for their people in Mexico. Maybe they could donate them to the hospital or donate them to an old folks home or donate them to a children's hospital or a school. I guess schools are closed, but anywhere we can distribute these things. We can get these masks out. I previously wasn't aware of this. Again, my mistake, failure. But no one's talking about this on TV. No one's talking about this publicly. This is one of the rare useful things I think we can do. I've seen a lot of people organizing food drives and bringing food around, which I think is a good idea, but also a bad idea because you might get the virus while you're out there delivering the food. You might spread the virus while you're delivering the food. But if old folks are at home and they don't have food, or even young folks that don't have food, that didn't do any planning or didn't have extra money to go buy, a bunch of food or whatever, had to work, getting masks to these people delivering the food, getting masks in general, stopping this kind of we don't have masks, we can't do anything attitude. Apparently we can make our own masks. So there you go. And we're going to keep talking about this. I don't know that I'm going to get out. I don't even know if I have sewing kit or anything anymore to make my own. But I don't know. We're going to have to do this. This is easier than building a blockchain satellite or whatever. So Kenny Rogers, man. Kenny Rogers. So they're also saying that 3M makes 35 million masks a month. So that we're going to have this it's temporary supply problem, and it'll be taken care of. Let's see. Oh man, my favorite lyric site, they used to be all nice and clean, and then now they started putting an unstoppable YouTube video on top of their lyrics. Oh, it's awful. So let's skip all this. So he's telling this big story, and the cowboy comes in, and then this is the big part. This is the time he says over and over again. He's like, "You picked a fine time to leave me, Lucille. 4 hungry children and a crop in the field. I've had some bad times, lived through some sad times, but this time the hurtin' won't heal. You picked a fine time to leave me, Lucille." Oh, gut punch. Totally gutted. Oh. And I'm pretty sure he takes the woman home anyway. Like the guy who's talking to Lucille at the bar is like, "She was a beauty, but when she came to me, she must have thought I'd lost my mind." I forget. I messed it up. "I couldn't hold her, 'cause the words that he told her kept coming back to me time after time. You picked a fine time to leave me, Lucille." So mean. Oh, he couldn't even do it. Oh, I don't know. Just something like, it's just a good phrase. You picked a fine time to leave me, Lucille. It's great. So anyway, talking about Kenny, talking about Bitcoin. Dow is closed. It's a weekend. This is like one of those, I don't want to push refresh anymore, but every time I push refresh, the stupid page goes up. So, 290. So yeah, it went up to 290. I don't know what to do anymore, but we're going to crack 300K really soon, probably, if we keep talking. It's going to happen either way, though. It's a Schrodinger's cat situation. The cat's already dead inside the box. You can't do anything about it. But if you never open the box, then you'll never know if the cat is dead, except for the smell and everything else. And Schrodinger's cat's more complicated than that. Oh, this Fed page. I don't think we're going to have this Fed page very much longer. It kind of crashes my whole web browser. But the Federal Reserve's printing money. You'll be fine. Oh, boy, they say Trump's going to go live soon again. I saw a great commentary yesterday by Rachel Maddow, and she basically said, we should stop carrying these things. He just gets up there, and he does his same car salesman shtick. It's the same old thing, and it's funny for me. I mean, I guess, I don't know if you guys know, but I mean, I've been watching Trump since the 1980s, right? I mean, when I was a kid, he was this goofy real estate developer. He was on the lifestyles of the rich and famous, and, all that kind of thing, all the paparazzi stuff, divorcing this wife, marrying that wife. I think at one point we might have had the Trump board game. It was like Monopoly. He's just this big clown. And everyone laughed and laughed. And one of these is... there it is. I mean, right here I've got the Doonesbury trilogy, huge. This was released before the election, back when we could laugh about this. And it's a fantastic compendium of all the times that Trump appeared in Doonesbury. And generally, he's a clown. I mean, he's just always a clown. And everyone in New York knows this. They all know that he's a clown. So in these press conferences, he gets up there, and we've got all the doctors, we've got the most serious time of our lives and so forth. And he can't stop saying these lines. He can't stop. Like the one he's on right now is this magical cure. So everything he says, oh, there might be a magical cure. Oh, there might be a magical cure. And the way that Rachel described it is that he says things that would be good news if they were true. And it would be great to deliver that news. I'd love to go up and say, hey, I'm here to announce the virus is over. Or, hey, I'm here to announce everybody gets a free Tesla. You feel good? I'm glad I got to tell you about that. Made me feel good even though it's not true. No one's getting a Tesla. The virus isn't over. Maybe if Bitcoin goes up, you'll get a Tesla. But otherwise, no Teslas, no end of virus. But it feels good to tell you about it, right? That's what he's getting. That's what he's into. He just wants to feel good, telling you good news. It doesn't matter if it's true or not. There's something wrong inside of him, man. I don't, there's been lots of studies, lots of psychologists, and lots of things talked about it. But yeah, no, he just likes to say things that make you feel good. As Howard Stern said when this whole thing started, here's a man who just wants to be loved. He was a clown on TV, and people kind of loved him. You're fired. You're fired. Oh, and the way they filmed him on that show, they did all the low angles. They put him on the big desk. They put him with gold backgrounds all the time, always in a suit. I mean, it's a psychological thing they did with that show. They boosted him, and no, he just can't stop. He just can't stop. So predictions for today's Trump news conference: he mentions a cure. He lies at least 3 to 5 times, and the hardworking doctors in the background have to come to the microphone and say, that's not a cure. It worked for a different virus. This isn't the same virus. And that in the tests, it worked as well as the placebo. So maybe we should give him a placebo. So we'll send him a placebo. So those placebos work really well. So check out the placebo. I think we're almost, let's see. Yeah, okay. So he's leaving because we talked about Trump. You can't, okay, I'm going to play the video then. You shouldn't leave yet. I'm going to play the video for you. Because again, we should just be ignoring this thing that happened to us. This is not happening, right?
One person coming in from China. We think we have it very well under control. We pretty much shut it down.
Shut it down. China. February. We shut it down. We shut it down. We shut it down.
Historically, that has been able to kill the virus. People are getting better.
Are you stupid?
And the 15 within a couple
Do you have
of days
a mental problem?
Down to close to
this
zero.
Is what's happening to you.
It's going to disappear. One day, it's like a miracle. It will disappear, and you'll be fine.
It will disappear.
Vaccines,
it will disappear.
Not only the vaccines,
come on.
But the therapies.
Come on.
Therapies is sort of another word for cure. We're talking about very small numbers in the United States. Our numbers are
you
lower
thinking
than
yet?
Just about anybody.
Come on, think.
And a lot of good things are going to happen. And we are responding with great speed and professionalism.
Not yet.
Yeah, no, I don't take responsibility at all. It's going to all be great.
Hello, caller. You're live on the World Crypto Network.
We came up so suddenly.
What's your name and where are you calling from?
I felt it was a pandemic long before it was called
World
a
Crypto
pandemic.
Network. This is
Please.
Dan Trout.
Hey, Dan. How's it going? Welcome to the show.
It's going. Thanks, man. I'm calling from Denver, Colorado.
Right. What's on your mind about Bitcoin and the virus, everything today?
Man, I have seen this virus coming my whole life, and not specifically this virus, but my father is an epidemiologist for the government and the U.S. government, and just my whole life he's been talking about how planes were going to bring the next global catastrophe. And that it wouldn't be a war, that it would be biological. And it would be because we are all traveling and crossing borders at a rate that has never been seen before in humanity.
I agree with that. I think we've made a larger petri dish. We've spread all over the world like never before. But yes, this is probably an unescapable consequence of that, right?
Yeah, about 5 years ago, it was really obviously going to happen, but
other governments prepared. Clearly we belong to a society that does not value that preparedness. So Bitcoin, I think, is a blessing to all of us. It's a way for us to get out of this US dollar controlled trap, basically.
I agree with that.
You work
and I also think this was the first positive thing to come along since 9/11. The first thing where you could look at it and you could say, wow, how are they going to break that? How are they going to co-opt that? And there's no way for them to do it, right? I mean, we've had some pretty strong attacks so far. There'll be stronger attacks in the future. But continuing forward, I think Bitcoin is the only thing you can believe in, really.
It is. It's definitely been my grounding, been my saving grace this last week. I watched the dip down below 4,000, and I bought that dip heavy, and I kind of thought it would keep dipping, but here we are, 5,200. Still chilling.
It's doing all right. And now if it goes back up, we can go back up without all those people saying, oh, it's got to go to 3,000, or oh, it's got to go to this level, or oh, it didn't do that. Because the chart guys, although they always call for different things on different days and they always call it both directions, they were saying we needed one of these big takedown valve things. But once again, was it caused because of the charts? Or was it because of this horrifying news in our reality where everyone dumped their stocks and dumped everything else and tried to get into as much cash as they could?
It's all about that cash run. It'll end. But the thing I was trying to come around to is my perspective and my experience on epidemics, just from being around my father, traveling with him. The unfortunate truth is that this is going to get about 5 times worse than it is now. And the truth is that I think a lot of the talk about a bailout for the common person is just a way to buy time so that society doesn't completely fall apart and we start robbing each other.
I think so.
I think we might be having these same conversations in June from similar standpoints. We may all be in our homes watching the summer pass by without our favorite events and our favorite, yearly activities. This could be a year and a half of this. So everyone should just be prepared mentally for that possibility. And that is also why you should be buying Bitcoin every time it dips.
So now, growing up around an epidemiologist and a person who's getting prepared for this, what do you think about the people who say that any of these controls are too much and that, this is damaging our liberties and we need to think about that? Are they overreacting to the virus, or is this the only way you kill a virus?
Those are not overreactions, but they're just unfortunate, harsh realities of the world we have built. And the thing is we can't really go back. This is a new time, and what's going to keep happening is new things. It's uncharted territory, but for getting prepared, I mean, the horrible thing is, like, for people without assets, like property, this is going to be real bad. Like, if you don't own property right now, the chances of it in the future it's going to be a bit harder for the common person. So, I mean, my family, the key is to own property you can escape to and kind of hide out on, have access to cash, and honestly prepare yourself for some type of Soviet-style collapse where the U.S. is divided into regions, and regions are controlled by regional powers, and it gets weird, but we will lose liberties. We will lose freedom over the next year. It's the fact.
But what are the alternatives? Are just letting everyone die, or not everyone? I mean, we go too far with this. I mean, my friend was all ragging on me. I was like, we're going to lose the older generation. We're going to lose the older generation. She was like, nah, we're going to lose 10 to 20% of the older generation, which I agree is very bad. And, it's hard to imagine those kind of numbers or to even picture what that looks like. But it's not everybody. I mean, if we just let this thing go, I guess we'd lose 10 to 20, maybe 30% of all people on Earth. Is that better? Like, is that the solution they're looking for?
And I think that's what nature wants, and that is ideally what would be best for our planet. Is like if there was a quick and effective reduction of the population. But honestly, unless it's like 80 or 90% of the population, it's not going to help the planet out enough to change our trajectory. So, I mean, the truth is, if we let it run wild and go, it's not just going to kill old people. It's going to kill a lot of people in their 30s and 40s. Because, the average American is not healthy. And honestly, man, overweight people. Think about how many overweight people you know who are 30 or 40. Like, they won't survive that.
Everyone's overweight. I mean, I don't know. I mean, there's the line out there, and they started saying that in the preconditions. They were like, oh, they had diabetes, or they had asthma, or they had something that I thought would be related to it. And then they're like, he was overweight. And I'm like, that's I'm certainly not talking anything here. I mean, that's everybody.
Yeah. So that's why a lot of Americans are kind of gleefully optimistic. They think that we're strong. And I mean, in reality, this is one of the weakest societies that the earth has ever grown, as far as the individual is concerned. Most people cannot handle this biological threat, and it's because of naivety. It's because people are naive to microorganisms. We're still so early in this game. Microorganisms were just discovered, relatively recently. So I think it'll take more than just this pandemic for people to realize this is not something you can just hold on and wait and things will go back to normal. There will be a new normal, and we don't know what it is.
See, and that's what people don't like. They don't like uncertainty. The markets don't like uncertainty. People watching this show don't like uncertainty. I don't like uncertainty. So
no, it's a human condition. But the antidote to uncertainty is education and being open and being able and willing to change your mind and perspective as information changes. So it's evolution, and we are evolving very fast these days.
Well, and they never said evolution would be easy. Everyone thinks it's like an ascension, but really it's trying a lot of things, right, failing a lot of times, and a lot of species and subspecies and so on and so forth, going out, not being here anymore,
like
going extinct. Yeah. So.
Yeah, we've been through this before as a species. We'll make it, but it's going to be fun. Hold on to your butts and stay online.
All right. Well, thanks so much for the call, and give us a call anytime. Good to hear from you, Dan.
Appreciate your time. Thanks, Thomas.
All right. And you can call us now at 1-518-600-1949 or on Skype at World Crypto Network, all one word. Maybe instead of getting upset that we mentioned Trump, who's still president, by the way, we mentioned the person in charge of the response to the disaster. And you ran for the hills. Maybe you should back your ideology up with facts. And the fact is, he ignored this thing. He didn't order more masks. He didn't order more ventilators. And he will be punished for this. At the Nuremberg trials, they tried the Nazis who participated during the war in war crimes. Not preparing the American citizens, not buying more masks and more ventilators, is essentially a war crime. It's a violation of his oath to preserve and protect and to defend the American people. So if you guys don't get that, we can play the video again. You can think about how he never responded and how he wasn't there, and you can keep denying it. But the reality is what the reality is. This guy helped spread this thing.
Down, coming in from China.
You know, in April, supposedly it dies with the hotter weather.
When it gets warm, historically, that has been able to kill the virus. People are getting better. They're all getting better. And the 15 within a couple of days is going to be down to close to zero. It's going to disappear.
Zero.
One day, it's like a miracle. It will disappear. And you'll be fine. They're going to have vaccines, I think, relatively soon. Not only the vaccines, but the therapies. Therapies is sort of another word for cure.
We're talking about very small numbers in the United States.
Our numbers are lower than just about anybody. It's really working out. And a lot of good things are going to happen. And we are responding with great speed and professionalism. It's going to go away. Yeah, no, I don't take responsibility at all. We're going to all be great. We're going to be so good. This came up, we came up so suddenly. This is a pandemic. I felt it was a pandemic long before it was called a pandemic. All you had to do is look at other countries. The coronavirus, you know that, right? Coronavirus. And this is their new hoax.
It's a hoax.
15 people in this massive country. And because of the fact that we went early, we could have had a lot more than that. We're doing great. Our country is doing so great.
Maybe you guys can ignore that. Maybe you can ignore that, but I can't ignore that. It's not a political thing. It's not a left or a right thing. When I refresh this page and it goes up, we should have had more masks. We should have had more ventilators. We should have had a better plan. We should have watched what China did, and we should have copied it. We should have copied what South Korea did. This is going to be known. Everyone is going to know this. The emperor has no clothes. So I don't know what you guys are thinking. I don't know why you guys think this isn't happening. This is what's happening. We're staying home. We're quarantined. We should be on a spring break. Like the guy said, Ackman, the smart guy on CNBC said what you do is you call up a 30-day break. We go on spring break, and this thing slows down. Maybe we get control of it. Here we go. One more refresh. It went up again. I don't know what you guys are thinking. So, and I'm disappointed that you won't call in. You guys talk a big talk from the chat. I don't see any phone calls. I'm going to keep the phone calls open a couple more minutes here. I'm going to paste the number in again. Let's hear it. Tell me why this guy's doing a good job. Why you're still a fan. Let's hear it. I want to hear it. Let's play some other fun Trump stuff. Let's play this lady that says that he's really smart and that he knows all about it. You guys will like her. Let's see. We had her up here. Let's see. Here we go. Here's Laura Ingraham from Fox News. See, audio.
Understand that we want our own data that is a large controlled study. I understand that's necessary, and the Trump administration is 100% correct at the same time, and recognizing
correct.
The benefits already reported in the use of this drug and the drug combo that we just mentioned. Now, by the way, hydroxychloroquine, a lot of people don't understand this, but it does not need to be approved by the FDA in order to be administered by doctors for off-label use. Because, as I said before, we don't have to go over it, but it's prescribed for.
I love the leader.
Anti-malarial.
The leader is always
also,
right.
For lupus in some cases.
Come on. This is nonsense. And we're saying in the chat, are local states doing any better? Well, first of all, the number one state in the United States, the state that I wish I worked for and lived in, is the National Basketball Association. When the National Basketball Association had reports of the coronavirus infecting their valuable employees, they shut down the entire National Basketball Association. So that's the number one government in the United States. Number two, the state of Nevada shut down the entire state of Nevada, even the casinos that make millions every minute. Do you hear that sound? No one's gambling in Nevada. That's how serious this is. Nevada shut down. Also, California the next day shut down. So California has a government. San Francisco shut down a few days previous, as well as all the counties around them. Illinois, the next state to shut down. So we have 3 out of 50. We have 3 out of 50 states acting to shut down, to get on the holiday plan, to get on the spring break plan. The NBA is not a state. We have 2. Oh, yeah, Illinois. We have 3, 4 counting the NBA. And you can put soccer and everything else in there. But we have 3 states in the union that value your life as much as the National Basketball Association. The president does not seem to value your life as much as the NBA. So they want some good news. Colorado is shut down. There's no evictions for 2 months. That sounds like good news. They say Utah is halfway. They've shut down bars and restaurants. No gathering of 10 or more. It was good to see the CDC recommend that. The gathering numbers started off very high at 250, easy to spread, 50, easy to spread, and now down to 10, which seems a lot harder to spread, a lot more likely you'd be able to maintain social distancing. They say in the chat, countries are cracking down. Remember, South Korea tested everyone, and they won. So there's your model if you want to smash the curve. They say you can do food takeout. You do have to be careful about the delivery. It seems like another lifetime ago, but 3 weeks ago when they were still making fun of China, they showed how you would get food delivery in China. They kind of opened up the bag. The guy walked 2 steps away. The other guy walked up, took his food out of the bag, and then the other guy walked up and closed the bag. On top of the food that he was delivered, and this is in China 3 weeks ago, they had the temperature of the person who delivered it, a meter reading, and they had the temperature of the person who delivered it, a meter reading. So there's your future of food delivery, and that's what they were doing weeks ago. So this thing's happened in slow motion. We all saw it coming. We talked about it with Balaji. We talked about the masks threatening facial recognition on the Bitcoin group, seems like a month or 2 ago. Everyone's known about this. The president didn't do anything. I don't know why you guys can't accept that or understand that, or you want me to somehow talk about this thing without talking about that. And I'd love it if I didn't have to talk about this thing, but it's killing more and it's spreading every day. Every time I refresh, 22, 132. Okay, so it stayed the same, at least this time. So there we go. Maybe we can end it now because it stayed the same. They say Canada didn't stop international travelers till Saturday. They're also upset with their government, Trudeau. So you can be mean to Trudeau as well. The only one you can't be mean to is the guy in China, so on and so forth. But no, we could have responded. And then England, UK is also responding to this terribly. Boris is doing a bad job. I don't know that France or Italy or anyone's doing any better. I think the only ones so far who have been successful are China, total lockdown, spraying the outsides of buildings with disinfectant. South Korea, test everyone, find out where the disease is, isolate it, and a couple of other small examples like that. Those are the only people who have been successful in fighting this thing. So it's going to come here. It's going to spread more. We're going to see it. It's happening. So still a chance for you to call in. Complete silence from the Trump fans. They just run away. It's not a good look, guys. I mean, I'm here to fight for my convictions. I'm here to talk about my opinions. I'm taking the big risk, putting it out here. You guys are just running away, not saying anything. So you think he did a good job? You think this is an example of a good response by the government? And I know you guys hate government, so this is actually a wish fulfillment for you. We drowned the government in a bathtub, and then the government drowned us. That was a good idea. So, but yeah, we're into politics here. This is the Thomas Hunt Show. You don't have to watch. It's your choice. We talked about a lot of things, how you should make your own mask, how you can make a mask out of cotton. It'll still be successful. I think the main thing is just to get rid of the old masks, because if they have dirt and dust and things from the outside, they're not going to work anymore. I think the key here is the disposability. They're not going to work as well as an N95 or an N99, but we don't have any of those. So make your own mask. Make masks for other people if you're good at sewing, if you have sewing machines, if you're talented, if you have a shop full of sewing machines. Work it around the clock. Donate these to hospitals or retirement homes. The only people looking out for Americans anymore are Americans. There's no top-down leadership anymore. Sad. Money printer's still going, still accepting donations, looking at the raise of cases. Here's the U.S. going straight up. So much winning, you're going to be tired of winning. So Endgame C is to stop and then restart. That's really our only hope at this point, but it would have to be organized nationally, and we don't have a national government anymore. They say on the chat there's a Netflix Dirty Money episode about Trump. Pretty sure I've seen that. There's also a great Netflix show that Johnny Depp did where he reenacts the art of the deal. Check it out. Johnny Depp, professional famous actor playing Trump in The Art of the Deal. It's too good to believe. You won't believe what The Art of the Deal really says. It's horrible. Checking out the cool new screensaver and X screensaver. I hope to get this soon. It's the Gibson screensaver from Hackers, the movie. That'd be cool. Let's see. What do we got left? What's not working here? Had the cool snake. Showed how to make the masks. Talked about the girl who's really sick, and she's a young person. We're doubling every 2 to 3 days. No big deal. Every 2 to 3 days. As Ricky D says in the chat, karma sucks, but then again, this is what we get for electing assholes and then defending every move they make. For those of you who might have forgot, Trump fired the pandemic team. They closed the pandemic office. So if you're having trouble during the pandemic, maybe it's because they fired the pandemic team when they were trying to clean up government, trying to shut down the government, trying to get rid of that pesky government. Once again, the 20-year-old who's tested positive, she is young, relatively fit. Her head was pounding. Her throat was on fire. She saw a doctor. Multiple days, hearing in both ears was less. She couldn't hear, lost all taste and smell, runny nose and cough. She couldn't blink her eyes. No one looked at her when she passed through customs. She stayed in self-quarantine, still has symptoms, can't get help. I mean, it's bad, man. It's a bad disease. So we came on special Saturday morning show, got yelled at by the audience because they don't like Trump, or they like Trump, sorry, even though he's doing this to us. They want us not to talk about politics. I tried to talk about basketball and sports, which is non-political, but they closed the basketball league because of the virus. And then I talked about how I was going to go outside to the pinball arcade and play pinball, but they closed the pinball arcade because of the virus. And then I was going to go to a casino and watch a movie because I think gambling's stupid, but they closed the casinos because of the virus. So I don't know what you guys are paying attention or what economy you work in or how you understand the Trump thing, but they closed everything because of the virus. It's a pretty big deal. We're talking about it. We have no choice but to talk about politics and money and Bitcoin and all of these things. I've always been talking about politics. You just liked it before. And again, I've always been liberal and I've always been here. And I'm still right on Bitcoin. And I'm right on Bitcoin because I studied politics, because I studied history, because I know what came before. So you can do it too. The more information you get, the less likely you are to believe in any one ideology, the less likely you are to fall into lockstep and to just support things for no reason. And the more likely you are to think for yourself. And that'll be very difficult for you because you won't fit into any group. And you'll have different opinions on different topics. And you won't be able to just say, hey, you're a Trumper or you're not a Trumper, or hey, you're a this or you're not a that. So am I pouring salt on raw wounds? Do these people feel bad? All these people are going to die because they voted for Trump. Choices have, actions have consequences, right? Choices have responsibility. I didn't vote for Trump, right? And I'm not going to vote for him again. So hopefully you won't either. But you got to make up your own choices. You got to look at your own information. You have a choice with what you watch and what you thumbs up and so forth. And thanks for donating. Thanks for supporting the show. Even if sometimes it doesn't say exactly what you believe in. Maybe it challenges you. Maybe that's a good thing. But I'm going to take a break. Be sure to subscribe to the World Crypto Network. Hit the bell for notifications. Check out the Bitcoin group from yesterday. We had some good guests on there. We had some good talk. And I think we'll be back again tomorrow, 9 a.m. Pacific time. Until then, bye-bye. You got to wait longer so it gets the bye-bye in there. Otherwise, it cuts off too fast.